Hi, my name is Ann Elliott. I'm the creator and founder of HomeschoolingTorah.com. I hope you'll pull up a chair, get yourself a cool drink, definitely grab your Bible, because even though today we're going to be talking about hard work, we're going to take a little break for a few seconds and learn a little bit about it, so it's your chance to rest. This is day 3 of the 2022 Homeschool Family Conference. Today we're going to be talking about the basics of a good work ethic, and I'm sure you came prepared for all the ways you're going to teach your kids how to work, and this is going to be great. They're going to do everything for you, right? You're going to sit around and drink your iced tea and eat bonbons, and it'll be awesome while your kids are busily making everything happen in your home. Sadly, that's not what we're going to actually do. We're going to talk about the basics of good work ethic, and we're going to start with you, of course, because that's where our kids learn it from. So we're going to talk about what is the purpose of work and why is it so important, and then we're going to talk about all the things that keep us from wanting to actually work hard, and they're actually lies that we believe and buy into, and they actually destroy our lives. So we're going to get rid of those lies, and we're going to find out how fulfilling hard work really is and how it can just make us feel so satisfied and peaceful and knowing that we're doing what we're supposed to do with our life. So let's get started. First of all, let's take a look at what the Bible says about hard work. So we're going to start at Genesis chapter 2, verse 15. And this is the first time that work is mentioned. Well, sort of. In this context is at creation. I don't know if this was day 6 of creation or was it the next week. I don't know. But either way, it's pretty soon, early in the world. And Yehovah Elohim took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to tend and keep it. That's Genesis 2:15. So he had 2 jobs. He was to tend the garden and to keep it. And the word keep, we've already talked about this week, that simply means to guard something, to keep it protected. So he was protecting it from anything that would want to harm it, and he was tending it, which would mean that he was nourishing it and making the plants grow. And honestly, if you were him, what an amazing world that would have been to discover everything. He had no Google, he had no books, no experts, no one to teach him except Yehovah Elohim. I do believe he taught him many things, but he was to classify and to investigate and to make order out of it. And meanwhile, of course, because it was a perfect world, when he needed to stop for lunch, he didn't have to go to the local Walmart, but the food was already there and ready for him, and he just plucked it and ate it. So obviously the world was created already having fruit and bearing fruit. I don't know how Elohim did that, but he did, because they needed food that first day, right? So what a perfect world. He didn't have to do work, like it wasn't difficult. That all came later. What exactly was he going to do in the garden? So if we hop back to chapter 1, verses 26 to 30, I'm going to read this whole section. Then Elohim said, "Let us make man in our image, according to our likeness." So the first thing that Adam's work was going to be like was it was going to be creative. He was going to make new things. Now, he didn't have the creative power that Yehovah has, where he could make something out of nothing by speaking it into existence. And I do not believe that we speak things into existence. I think that's New Age pagan thought, and we should stay far away from it. But I also do believe that we are creative, and we take the things that our Creator made, never worshiping the creation, but only worshiping the Creator, right? As Romans 1 says. But we take the things that He made, and we say, what could I do with it? What could I make that would be useful and helpful? And that is an incredibly fulfilling thing to do. And the entire time we're doing it, we're thanking Him for making it. See, we never give ourselves that credit. We don't take that from Him, and we don't try to speak things into existence. Stay away from that kind of thought. That's just absolute hogwash and deception from hell, okay? So don't go that way. But do take the things that He made and be made in his image, and try to create beautiful things with His tools that He gave you. Second thing, in verse 26, let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, over the cattle, over the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. So everything that is alive in our world, man is to have dominion or be like a king. So Adam was the first king, but he didn't rule over other people at this point. He only ruled over the living creatures. And I think this is why our children love animals. I think that's why we love animals. I think that's why we just want to spend time outside in creation. And so to me, this gives us a fantastic idea that our work is most fulfilling when we spend time with the living creatures that he made, whether it's the plants or the animals, or just digging in the earth, or making things with the wood or the materials that he created in the earth. I think that is the most fulfilling thing we can do with our hands and our time. Thirdly, it says, so Elohim created man in his own image. In the image of God he created him. Male and female he created them. And God blessed them. And God said to them, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it. And so I think the next thing that we do that is part of our work that Adam had and his wife Eve, the first thing that they did is have children and to be fruitful themselves, just like the trees and the fruits and the birds and the bees, as Brad Scott used to say. All of those things show us what we are to be doing, and we're to be spending a lot of our work investing into our children, our own fruit that we are being fruitful and multiplying with. So an incredibly fulfilling thing is for us to have children and to invest our time and energy into them. And that is why it's extremely normal for all women to say, I want to have a baby. And honestly, my husband felt that way too when we were first married. Just because he doesn't get to carry and deliver the baby doesn't mean he doesn't want to have children, doesn't want to have sons and daughters following him around and doing things. His favorite thing in the world is when his kids are out here doing things with him outside. It's just absolutely favorite. Or over here in working with wood in his workshop in the garage. Those are just his most favorite peaceful things to do. Honestly, he would be super happy if that's all he ever did the rest of his life, with his children surrounding him, and hopefully someday soon grandchildren. That would be amazing. And then it says, lastly, after they've had children and they're filling the earth and subduing it, have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over every living thing that moves on the earth. So it kind of repeats that. And I think the idea is to teach our children how to be good kings and queens and have dominion over the creation that Yehovah made. And so to pass those truths on to the next generation and to take care and be good stewards of the world that he created. Never let believers be accused of not taking care of his environment. Now, I think a lot of the political ways that the environment, we're told to take care of the environment, are not actually true. We should look for true ways to care for the world, to make the things that we do sustainable and not talking like liberal theology that is not based in truth. I'm talking about true ways to take care of the earth. So that's the work that we were given. It says, I quoted this verse earlier in the week, but Psalm 104, verse 23, man goes out to his work and to his labor until evening. And that's what he does when the sun comes up in the morning. It is the ultimate dream and desire, really, for every man, every woman, and all children on earth to be interacting with the creation that Yehovah made. That doesn't mean we can't use technology, because that can be a way that we can create in his image ways to take care of the world. So that's not what I'm ruling out here. I'm not ruling out study and books, and I'm not ruling out learning math and phonics and all of those things. But the purpose for which we do those things is so that when we grow up, we can take care of and have dominion of and to guard and tend the garden into which he has placed us. Now, of course, that's before sin came in and messed it all up. Of course, we know in Genesis chapter 3 what happened. I'm going to go over to verse 17. To Adam, because he sinned, Elohim said, because you have listened to the voice of your wife and have eaten from the tree of which I commanded you, saying, you shall not eat of it, cursed is the ground for your sake. In toil you shall eat of it all the days of your life. Both thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for you, and you shall eat of the herb of the field. In the sweat of your face you shall eat bread, till you return to the ground, for out of it you were taken. For dust you are, and to dust you shall return. That word toil, in toil you shall eat of it, is the exact same word that he gave to his wife up in verse 16. It says, I will greatly multiply your sorrow and your conception, and in pain, which that's the same word in Hebrew, in toil, in pain, same word, you shall bring forth children. So all of the work that was given to us that is so fulfilling is now difficult. And that word means, yes, painful, but it also means most often to be just intense, hard, exhausting work. So no longer was it, I'm hungry, let's just go pick some fruit. Now we have to actually really do exhausting things to even put food on the table, to even survive. And as far as it goes for children and having children, that can be incredibly difficult too. So the work of all people was affected by the sin of Adam and Eve. So because they listened to the lies of Satan, and Adam he just listened to his wife, but Eve, she was actually deceived. It says in 1 Timothy 2:14 that she was deceived, and she was tricked. It wasn't that she intentionally did wrong. Adam, pretty intentional. Eve was fooled, and we're fooled all the time. And so this is what happens. We say, I hate work. I hate this stupid creation. I want to play video games all day. I want to just, there's an old song that says, I don't want to work. I just want to bang on my drum all day. That's what we just want to do. Because why? Because to dust we're going to return. And everything we do just comes to nothing. How many things do we touch that just, it was worthless. It broke. It did this. I didn't have the money for it. It just, everything sometimes that we touch turns to dust, which in fact is what the curse was, is that, yeah, it does. Except don't forget those children. They don't turn to dust. They live forever, right? And so do we. And it is a little bit of a lie of the devil that what we do has no value. In fact, how many things that people invented in the last 2,000 years are we enjoying the fruit of today? But in their lifetime, they wouldn't have seen that. And it would have felt like everything just turns to dust and it's worthless. And all of this because of a lie. So I think Satan really wants to keep us from enjoying the original intention for which we're created, which is to work. And since that's our original intention, as a homeschool mom, you want to teach your kids who they are. They are made in the image of a creator with an incredible job to do, that if they do that job, they will be so fulfilled, but they must not listen to the lies. Now, the Father has given us protections so that we don't fall prey to depression and anxiety over all of these things. The first protection given to Adam and Eve, to Eve specifically, was that she was to listen to her husband and do what he said. And I'm not going to go into all the details of that because I've made a lot of videos about that in the past. You can go, I'll put some links to some below or in the handout. But basically her protection was to follow the lead of the man that she was given as her husband. Children, they have been given a protection, and that is there to honor and obey their parents. Because why? Parents, we can have the wisdom of reading our Bibles and knowing where we're supposed to go with our life. We're supposed to tend and guard the gardens that He's given us. Now, I don't mean necessarily literal gardens, but the things that over which we have stewardship. But kids don't always see it that way. They see it as, when we give them a job to do, we're keeping them from doing something fun. Fun is what they actually want to get to. And they don't realize that the work itself is not just to serve a purpose, but it's self-fulfilling and is so satisfying. So because they don't necessarily have the wisdom to know that yet, we just have to tell them what to do. Mom and Dad, tell them what to do. Don't just wait till they figure that out. They may not. They may not go to Genesis 1 and 2 and figure that out. You need to guide and teach and tell them what you need to do is go with them and lead by example. But if they don't want to go, then make them come with you, okay? Because they are to honor and obey you, and those protections are to help us. And in 1 Timothy 5:14, it says that if we do the hard work that He has given us, then we will give the enemy no opportunity to speak reproachfully of us, or especially of our Master and Savior. So we read this verse earlier in the week. So the young women, the young wives, are supposed to marry, bear children, manage their house, and in that way give no opportunity to the adversary. So who is this adversary? Let's look at John chapter 8, verse 44, because Yeshua describes him very plainly here. He says, he was a murderer from the beginning. Why would he want to murder? Because we're supposed to be fruitful and multiply. So I'm not even sure it's just people he wants to murder, but he wants to destroy our entire world. But definitely your children. Definitely you. He was a murderer from the beginning, and he does not stand in the truth because there is no truth in him. When he speaks a lie, he speaks from his own resources, for he is a liar and the father of it. The opposite of everything that the Father created us for is what the adversary is standing for. All those lies. And we can see it very easily in our political world. The things that just aren't true and demolish a civilization and a culture. But it's the same way in our homes. So here are some of the lies that the adversary wants to put in your brain and to have you saying to your children. He wants you to say, I can't. So these are some words I want you to take out of your vocabulary altogether. Don't say, I can't, because the Father made you for this. So of course you can. So when you hear your children say, I can't do that, you're going to say, well, you can, because our Heavenly Father created you able to do this. Now you might have to build your muscles and you might have to learn some things, but you can. You'll be awesome at it because the Bible is true, right? Here's another one. I'm so bored. What a lie. What a lie of the devil to ever be bored. There is a world of things out there to do. Of course, we as parents, we can see that, and our children can't. So we have to help them get those lies out of their tongues and say, oh, no, there's a world of things you can do, and take them out. Here's another one. You never do that. I never get to do this. I never see you do that. I never saw anyone clean up the mess in the kitchen. I never this, I never that. That word is always a lie, because it's impossible for no one to have ever cleaned up the spill in the kitchen, for no one to have ever shown love, or no one to have ever refilled the toilet paper in the bathroom. Those kinds of lies, like saying you never do this, those accusatory things that we say to other people, flat out lies, and it doesn't show appreciation and thankfulness and contentment to anyone. So don't you say it. Try not to use that word, okay? The only one, like Yehovah never lies. You can say that one. All the rest of them you can't say. How about excuses? Well, that just doesn't work for me. That's not how I'm made. Or, well, I could, but except I have this. I'm not saying there are no excuses ever, because you can have a chronic disease or you can be pregnant, and there are times that you can't do it. But when you can't do the work, there might be another solution. You might be able to delegate it. You might be able to outsource it. You might be able to come up with an alternative thing to do instead of that one. But to just have an excuse to say, I can't do that because of this, is a cop-out. And it is basically saying, Creator, you made a defective product here. He has a plan for our lives. He wants us to do effective and amazing things, and it won't look like somebody else. And I'm not saying that the thing you had in your mind to do is what he intended. If you literally can't do something, like let's say I was supposed to climb a mountain right now at my age and in my physical condition. Well, I actually cannot do that today. I'm not giving an excuse. So I just can't. I don't have the physical strength and ability. But having said that, there are a couple options. I could learn to do it. I could work out every day and build my muscles. Or I could say, you know what, that job would be better done by that big hunk of a guy over there who's got muscles. And I could outsource. But to say that it's just not possible in any way, shape, or form, it doesn't really give much thankfulness or appreciation to our Creator for how amazing He is. So don't say don't say excuses. Excuses should just not be in your vocabulary when it comes to your home and getting things accomplished. Here are some other lies that we as parents often tell our children, and maybe you've had some of these lies told to you when you were a child. You're stupid. Really? Is that what your Creator made? A stupid child? Really? What are you saying about him? I mean, really? You're not saying that not only to your child and rejecting your child, but you're saying it to the Creator. How about, you're so dumb. Really? How did they get dumb? Well, they're dumb only because they're childish and they haven't been taught. So whose fault is that? Shouldn't say that one. How about, you're a failure? Wow, let's not talk that way to each other. How about, you're fat, you're lazy, you're a wimp. All of these are lies, frankly. If someone is weak, they could be helped. We could come alongside and do it together and lend our strength and ability to that person. If they're overweight, we can give them more hugs, right? What does that have to do with anything? Their mental ability? And we can also just give a lot of love and care and find out maybe there's a health problem or whatever. Those kinds of words, they're all lies, and they should not come out of our mouth. And I know we're talking about a work ethic right here, but it seems to me that this is where those kinds of lies creep into our homes. Our children can't figure out how to do a subject in school. And instead of helping to improve and find a better solution, and maybe we can find a teacher or someone that can help us out, or we can find out if there's a learning disability and overcome that learning disability, not just stay stuck in it. Instead, we just say horrible things to people to get ourselves off the hook so that we don't have any responsibility to teach our children and to make them better. And we don't thank the Father for the creation that is our children. I mean, seriously, how thankful are you for that miracle of a child that you have? Do you really show that love and thankfulness for your child to your child when they're doing hard things, hard for them? They never did it before. And they need a teacher, a parent to come alongside and safeguard them. When you're supposed to tend and keep your garden, you got to start with your kids. And it's got to be love, and it's got to be concern and care. So if you're having trouble getting all the work done in your house, getting people to want to participate, it's probably because somewhere along the line there's a lie that someone in your house is believing. I really love a session that Christine Miller from Nothing New Press did for us here at Homeschooling Torah. She did this video for us back in 2019, January 2019. We had a Doorkeepers conference, and session 2 of the conference, she did Replacing Lies with Truth. And I'm going to link that video. It's probably the number one thing I link to here on Homeschooling Torah, because I really want you to believe truth. But I'm going to just give in a nutshell some ways that some of those lies that she talked about in that video can be applied to work. And if you think that this rings true with you, I'd strongly encourage you to set aside some time this weekend, maybe this coming Sabbath when you're not working, to sit and listen to that video, because it will change your life, okay? But here are just a few of the things. I'm going to go down. She has 9 lies, and I'm going to go through these lies and apply them just to work, to hard work, okay? And let's see if we can replace some of these things with a true statement, and then figure out how that will help us have a better work ethic. So the number 1 lie: it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what work I do. It doesn't matter if I do a good job. It doesn't matter if I study this subject. It doesn't matter if I do the dishes or make my bed. It just doesn't matter. And that is actually a lie. And one of the reasons we say that work doesn't matter is because we feel that God has rejected us, or that maybe someone else has rejected us. And so what does it matter? The whole thing is just useless and pointless. We kind of talked about this already. To our kids, we can do this to them when we reject them, when we are like, that's a lousy job, you never do a good job. See, I used the word never. I'm not supposed to use that word. Or you're just so stupid, and we reject them. And what happens is that people just start to say, it doesn't matter. Nothing I do is any good anyway, so why bother trying? But the actual truth is that Yehovah has accepted us. He loves us so much that he sent his son Yeshua to die for us, and he's preparing a wonderful place in his kingdom for us. And the opposite of this, maybe you've been rejected in your life. Maybe your kids have been rejected, and now you have to work that out, that lie out. And here's how you do it. Instead of trying to please people who do say things that are unkind and cruel or thoughtless, instead of trying to please those people, work only to please your Creator. So this is the truth. Instead of saying nothing I do matters, say everything I do matters to him because he made me. And he must have had this in mind. Everything matters to him. And because it matters to him, think about Adam and Eve. Yehovah would come and walk with them in the cool of the day. Oh, wow, that would be so cool. How much would it matter how clean your house was? Or what job you were doing in teaching your children algebra if you knew that this afternoon at, or let's say early evening as it's starting to cool off, say 7 p.m., Yehovah was coming over and he was going to have a walk with you and he'll talk around, and he wasn't going to reject you, but you wanted to please him. If it helps when you're working on things, whether it's teaching your children or doing work around your home, Imagine that you are going to talk to him. Well, first of all, you really are. Someday you are going to walk with him and talk with him. You're going to give an account to him. He's not going to reject you, but he is going to reward you if you do well. So you want to do a good job. Work to please him. I do often say, try to have your house clean before your husband comes home, because you want to please your husband. And it's nothing wrong with pleasing your husband, but sometimes you could do your best job of working around the house, and your husband comes home at 5 o'clock and for some reason, he's had a bad day, a bad trip on the way home, and he's grumpy or tired, and he doesn't notice what you did, or worse, he criticizes it. It's just not up to par. And you can feel completely deserted or defeated, and you can say, what does it matter? It doesn't matter. And so you never want to do it again. But that's wrong, because you're not doing it for your husband. It's wonderful when you do please your husband. I love it when I please my husband. That's fantastic. It's frosting on the cake. But the one I really want to please is my Father in heaven, who sees all and loves to talk to me and be with me and never, ever rejects me. Please him at all times. Focus your eyes on him. From the moment you wake up in the morning, say, thank you, Father, for letting me be awake another day, for giving me my life back. Thank you, Father, for helping me wake up this morning. What can I do to please you today? And then all day long, talk to him and please him. And I promise you, you will never feel those feelings of rejection again. Number 2 for lies, feeling depressed or discouraged or disillusioned. This depression that haunts us around is often because we feel that God just won't help us. We feel like we have to do it all on our own, and we're just not big enough, not strong enough, just too little. And I love that saying. And having said that, that's not true. It's a lie. God does help us. He says over and over again in his word, he is an ever-present help in time of trouble. I will lift up my eyes into the hills. From whence comes my help? My help comes from Yehovah, the creator, the maker of heaven and earth. The same one who made all of this beautiful creation. He is ready and able to help you. And because of that, you don't have to get discouraged or feel like you're never going to get it, or you just can't do anything right, or worried about where your food's going to come from, or your clothes, or how you're going to pay the bills. He's got it. He is going to help you. My God shall supply all your need through Messiah Yeshua, our Master. So, to your kids, how can you help them if they feel worried or discouraged or anxious? You can help them by helping them. When they feel like things are too difficult, don't just leave them to their own devices. Go lend a hand. There's nothing wrong with assigning chores to your children and then helping. Helping them shows them a picture of our Heavenly Father who helps us. Go give them literal help. It says in the book of James 2:15, if a brother or sister is naked or destitute of daily food, and one of you says to them, depart in peace, be warmed and filled, but you do not give them the things which are needed for the body, what does it profit? And that's the same way with our kids. They're like, I need help, Mom. I don't know how to do this. And you're like, you're lazy. See, that's mean. Don't be rejecting them like that. Say, oh, you don't know how to do it? Let's do it together. Or you could say it like this. Remember, yesterday I showed you how to do it. Can you tell me some of the things I said? And then they can say it back to you. And you can say, good job for remembering. Or maybe they actually don't remember. And you can remind them and help them and do it again. In every way possible, help each other. Don't just leave each other in the cold. And for you as a mom, when you really need help, it says in James as well, James 1 verse 5, if any man lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all men liberally, and does not upbraid them or yell at them for not having all their ducks in a row, and it shall be given him. Yes, I know that was the Anne Elliot, very weird version. So, when you are depressed, disillusioned, anxious, discouraged, ask for help, and do the same for your kids. Let them ask for help. Number 3, when you have a temper, and you feel impatient with others, or you just feel doggone selfish, you always want everything your way. So the lie that we believe is that God, he won't work on our behalf. He won't do it. He's not going to help us. Or he won't work. God is like being lazy. I don't know what he's doing up there, but he's definitely not helping me, or he is way too slow. If he would just have done it, if he had just answered my prayer like I thought he should have, then maybe none of this would have happened. And the result, of course, of this is that we get mad and we get impatient. Of course, we do this with other people. when they aren't working and doing the job that we told them to do, or they're doing it too slowly, this is where that temper comes in and the anger, okay? Definitely. And we're like, and the frustration with them. And frankly, a lot of times when our children aren't working, it's because we haven't done a good job of teaching them character and enforcing that. But for the sake of our children, when we're working as a family, work quickly. Show them how to work quickly. Don't just expect it. Illustrate it, show them efficient ways to do it, and have patience towards them, because remember that they are a work in progress, and that yes, it's slow. They don't learn as quickly as we think they should, and we feel impatient with them and we get angry. And really, again, what we're saying is that the Creator made a defective product in our child, and they are just dumb and stupid and they can't learn. And we shouldn't be talking like that. We should be patient, just as He is patient with us when we're learning new things that we never saw in our Bibles before, and all of a sudden we're like, what do we do? I don't know how to do that feast. I never did that feast before. I have no idea what I'm doing. Maybe I'll just wait until the last second to look it up. And the Father is not up in heaven going, oh, they drive me crazy. They're so slow. Why don't they just do what I say? He's not. He's patient, always so patient with us. But also, when we work, a good work ethic is someone who gets in there and works quickly. That is the goal that we are going for, to have not a fast and sloppy job, but to work with all of our might, to just put our whole heart into it. Just like we wish that the Father would answer our prayers quickly, we need to do that for others, and then be patient, because He may be doing something we don't realize. Have you ever been impatient with your husband because he's in the house and you're in the car waiting and the car is turned on and you're looking at your watch going, we are supposed to be leaving. Where is he? And yet something happened in the house that you were completely unaware of, and that's why he's not out there. It's the same way with our Heavenly Father. We have to be patient and wait on Him, because there are things going on in the world that are above our pay grade, and we have to wait for Him. And it's just a fruit of the Spirit is patience, right? And that will solve that temper and impatience. Here's another lie: feeling restless, nervous, anxiety and confusion. I already talked about anxiety and confusion. It's just kind of similar to the God won't help me. And this one, it is God won't take care of me. Sometimes when we are having difficulty working in the home, it is because there are worries hanging over our heads. Worries about where the next food is going to come from, or how we're going to pay the mortgage, or how we're going to take care of this problem or that problem. Someone has cancer, someone has this very big problem. And the worry and the anxiety starts to weigh in on us. And it's very difficult at that point to concentrate on the to-do list that is in front of us. If you made a schedule this week during our session on time management, when the worries start to come in, it's going to be really difficult to stick to a schedule and to get your work done, because you are afraid. There is fear, and fear sucks all the energy out of our brains, and we can't think anymore, and we can't get stuff done. Now, sometimes what we really need to do is drop to our knees and pray. And we need to do that in front of our kids, because He will take care of us. The lie is that He won't take care of us until we're worried. We're trying to figure it out on our own. Of course, I can't make this tree grow because I worry about it. The Creator makes it grow. I can't make my children grow because by worrying. I can't make my hair turn colors. I'm kind of quoting loosely verses that Yeshua said. I can't make any of these things happen by worry. So why do we think that worry is going to fix any of those problems? We need to trust our Father that He will take care of us, and we need to ask for His help, as we already talked about. But for our children, when they are struggling to get the jobs done, maybe they're doing a math worksheet, but they're really worried about something and feeling anxious about something, we can show them care and nourishment, a hug, and maybe put the math away for the day, put the jobs away on the to-do list, and let's go to our Heavenly Father and ask for help. I mean, there is a time for everything, right? Sometimes taking care of people's needs and nourishing them and helping them and showing comfort and love is a lot better than getting the job done. It can wait. So doing things for others, that's one of the reasons that we work in the first place. One of the things that we tend in our garden is people. It's a huge part of what we tend in our garden. So there may be tasks, maybe there are tomatoes that need to be picked out of the garden. Maybe there is zucchini that needs to be put up. Maybe we've got to can all kinds of stuff. But someone has a need. You know, sometimes we have to take care of those needs first. And sometimes we can do the needs and take care of the physical stuff as well. But showing care and nourishment for others will help them overcome that lie. As we show love and care for other people, they will realize that God cares for them. And when we are needing care, we can ask for it. We can ask others for help. Instead of bearing that burden, when you're worried about something, go tell someone. Tell your Heavenly Father, and if possible, tell another human being so that they can help bear that burden with you so you're not carrying such a heavy load all on your own. And goodness, that's just how it is with work. I mean, if we're out with a wheelbarrow and it's too heavy, then someone else comes along and helps lift that load. Oh, so much better, isn't it? And that's just the good principle in everything in our homes. How about being argumentative, rude, insensitive, and stubborn? Those are some lies that the enemy wants to make us this way in our home. So we're always rude and uncaring and so stubborn. It must be my way or the highway. And the reason is we believe, the lie that we're believing is that God's methods don't work. And that, in fact, they're stupid. What a stupid thing. Sometimes when we look in the in the Torah and it says we're not allowed to eat pork, we're like, that's stupid. That is a stupid thing. That's going to be so expensive. If all we're going to do is buy beef all the time, pork is a lot cheaper. What a stupid thing to do. And I know we've all felt that if we've been trying to keep Torah and to be obedient to his food laws, and then someone comes along and tells us it's stupid, we feel pretty upset. Your children feel the same way when we say, we get insensitive and rude and argumentative with them. When we're arguing with somebody, we're basically calling them stupid. To argue is very much against everything that is right and good and righteous and beautiful in a home. Arguing really destroys that. So don't argue. Now, as a mom, you are the mother. You can hold yourself with a feeling of authority that is given to you by your Creator, and you can walk in that authority. And you can say, children, this is the way we're going to do it. And if they start to argue with you, you're going to say to them, stop. Because first of all, you are saying that your mother is stupid by arguing with me. And that's not showing honor to me or to the God who made me your mother. Secondly, I hear your argument, but this is the way we're going to do it this time. You do as I say, and I will talk to your father about your idea. Maybe we'll look into it in the future if you have a good attitude. Does that make sense how you can talk? So, one of the things that helps when people think your ways are stupid and you have a child that's extremely argumentative, constantly questioning everything you do, you might not be explaining why. You might only be giving commands and only telling them to do things and never getting around to explaining the reasons behind stuff. Now, I'm not saying in the heat of an argument that they should have a chance to argue with you. It's wrong. Arguing is just wrong. Don't do it. Yeah, you with your husband. Now, your husband shouldn't be doing it with the kids shouldn't be doing it with each other, and they should definitely not be doing it to dishonor their parents. But you could settle down some of the arguments by, in those moments when there's no tension and everything is peaceful, start telling why more often. So a child that doesn't want to do something, okay, let me give a good example. Long division. The way that you teach long division might not be the way that the textbook teaches it, or the textbook might teach it differently than how your husband learned it when he was in elementary school. And there are all these different methods, and all of them work. They do. But we're all arguing with each other about whose method is best. Now, in a moment when we're not arguing, okay, because there's just simple submission to authority that's over us, and we should not do it in an argumentative tone. We should just submit. But later, in a peaceful moment in math class, explain your method. Explain why you like it. And if the child says, yes, but wouldn't this work better? Be humble, because it might be right. They might have a point. When your husband says, I wish you would do the dishes in this way instead of that way, and you say, yeah, but the reason I do it is because of this, and he says, yeah, but what about this? Be humble and listen to each other and say, well, maybe we could compromise here, and maybe we both have a good point. And what if we did this? And you might end up with a better system in the long run than ever it's been invented before. Like, I think that's a lot of what inventions come from. So explaining your methods and making sure that you're humble and you really are working towards something that's efficient instead of just a waste of everybody's energy and time, it does help. So don't allow dishonor. Don't allow disrespect, but do explain why, and be humble and be willing and open to maybe changing your method. Look for an efficient work method, and the efficient work style and ways of doing things will improve your life. It really will. The next line, number 6, is when someone is thinking immoral or lustful or even pornographic thoughts. Pornography steals way more than marriages and homes, and it also steals time. It also steals energy. It's so awful. It's such a pervasive problem in our culture. But it's because someone is believing a lie that there is no purpose to God's ways, that there's no good outcome to what he's doing. We might as well just eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we're going to die. When in fact in the garden God told Adam and Eve that they were made for a purpose, and that was to be fruitful and multiply. We aren't just having intimacy because it feels good. We're doing it because it makes the next generation. It makes babies. So we need to teach our children that part of the purpose for marriage is to have children. And part of the reason that you would never be unfaithful to your spouse is because you want to protect the sanctity of that wonderful piece of a home, that shalom, that God satisfies our needs by giving us a purpose for what we do, that his purpose is good, being fruitful and multiplying. To try to prevent that, now sometimes there's a reason to delay it, or to fix a health problem, or wait a couple months to get a bill paid or something. But having said that, he is a faithful father, and he knows how to meet our needs, right? We don't have to go seeking for our own ways to meet our needs. Pornography completely circumvents God's design for creation. It completely goes away from it. So having said that, for your children, one of the things that you can think about is that work is fulfilling and it has a reward. Like when you grow a plant, you get to eat the fruit that comes off of it, and it's so fun. When you make a cake and you spend an hour in the kitchen and you're mixing up the batter and doing everything, you get to eat it when it's done. That's your reward. And when you fall in love and you get married, you get to eat the reward that comes there, and its marriage bed is undefiled, and he calls it all good. And you get the reward of children much of the time when he allows that. So give your children the idea that work brings reward. They should not be just slaving away, doing their jobs because dad said so and mom said so. What's the reward? What's the benefit? What's the use of the job they're doing? Are they just doing it to make your life easier and you get the reward and they're just slaves in your house? No, everyone should have the reward together. So when everyone is working really hard on a Friday afternoon, getting ready for Sabbath, the reward is that everybody gets to put their feet up and enjoy Sabbath. And they don't have to think about any work on that day. And it should be a day of reward and peace and joy and fun. And it should be wonderful. And everything your children do, from the schoolwork, are we just doing schoolwork because the government said so and that's what kids do when they're that age? No, what's the reward? What's the benefit? What are they going to get from that? And I'm not saying we do it in a selfish way, but God meets our needs by giving us reward from the fruit of our labor. So what kind of, if you have children that are struggling with only being constantly seeking how to fulfill their own lust, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, maybe they need to get out there and do some good work, but see the fruit of the reward and get some benefit from that. Seventh, sometimes we are untrusting of others, or we can't make decisions, or we never finish a job. So I think basically this whole one is not finishing what we started, just not being reliable because we're wavering in our decisions and we just can't commit to anything. And what that comes from, I've found, the lie that is that we don't believe that God's promises in his word are true. And so we don't work for it, knowing that we'll see what he said would happen. And sometimes God's promises don't come true right now. Sometimes we're going to have to wait till the next life in order to see the fulfillment of those promises. Or sometimes we do things so that our children will have an inheritance and we may not be alive when they get that. But it is still the fulfillment of a promise, right? When we are feeling like we can't make a decision in the home, stop and think to yourself, wait a minute, did God make any promise about this? Like, for instance, worrying about the budget so that we don't know if we can make a grocery list and we never get around to doing it. What promises are we saying that he's not keeping? So with your children, when you see them being indecisive and unsure of what to do, think back through your life and say, or even that week, and say, am I keeping my promises? Am I doing what I said I would do? Or am I changing my mind every other day and wandering with no goal in mind? Keep your promises, even that you make to yourself. When you make a goal and a commitment, keep it. Go for it. And the reward at the end is so awesome. And then you're going to find out you get more and more decisive, more and more sure, more and more confident. For the next one, number 8 is being prideful and controlling, saying that your way is always best. This is similar to the other one that we said before, but in this one we're telling God, our Creator, who made us, who is the originator of everything we are. We're telling him he has no right to tell us what to do. And our children sometimes do that, especially in their chores and the jobs around their home. They're like, you don't have to tell me what to do. You should not allow that, first of all, because you did. And I think pride is the biggest affront to God himself, because telling him that he can't tell us what to do is, wow, that's really going there, isn't it? Instead, we need to submit to his authority. And for our children, this is where sometimes we don't tell them why. We just say, do it because I said so. Because you need first to learn to submit to my authority and do what you are told. And then, of course, you can work on those other things. Lastly is addictions, maybe drugs and alcohol, maybe video games, maybe sugar, maybe gluttony, maybe all of the different things that we become addicted to, or gossip, or being obsessive, compulsive about how we do things. And we're addicted to that way and we cannot waver from it. Kind of like getting yourself in a rut and you just, no matter what you do, you can't break out of that rut. This one comes because the lie we're believing is that we have no choice in the matter. We can't help it. I have been given no choices. But in fact, think back to the Garden of Eden. How many choices were Adam and Eve given? Literally every choice possible except for one. And that is that one. They couldn't eat of the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And the same is true in your life. You have been given choices. The only things you're not to do are things that would break his Torah. Those you should stay far away from. Everything else in the world is available to you and good. So, if it's not evil, it's good, right? So, don't say you don't have a choice, that you must do this. Because really, he gave you an independent mind and the ability to learn and grow. So you do have a choice. Sometimes, though, those choices are hard. And really the reason we don't want to do them is because they're difficult. I think about the first children of Adam and Eve and how they invented metal and music. Think of the first person that invented a musical instrument. Yeah, that was hard. But they went to it and they worked hard and they came up with a cool invention. Could you do that? Could I do that? That's crazy difficult. The first person that invented metal, I have no idea how they even figured that out. I just can't even fathom. That is a hard choice. But hard choices feel really good because they tend to have the most reward for the labor. Sometimes we just have to have self-control to go, I've got 2 choices in front of me right now. I could go do this, which is an easy thing, but won't really accomplish anything. Or I could go over here and do the hard thing and accomplish a lot of things and accomplish amazing rewards for that. So I'm going to have the control over myself to say, self, I want you to go over there and do the hard thing. So with your children, one of the things that helps with this is to keep them on a schedule. Because schedules force us to have to do the next thing that is often the hard thing, even though we don't want to. But having said that, as they grow up in a home where they're on a schedule and a routine and they consistently over and over do hard things, those hard things start to look really easy. And then you're going to notice that the creativity just explodes and they start to do even more hard things and they're super cool. And they've learned to discipline themselves and bring their own body under subjection. Just like we have to be subject to God and say, you have a right to tell me what to do. Your body has to say, self, I have a right to tell you what to do. No, you cannot have that cookie right now because I'm going to tell you what to do. Okay, I won't have the cookie right now. So see, it's all the same principle. So what are some ways that you can practice all of these things in your home? I don't want your home to be a home of yelling and fighting, because those are things that we set our lies, right? We don't want to do those. So you might want to go through those 9 lies. I've got them listed in your handout for you. And you maybe want to make a lesson on each point, or go to the ones that you all have difficulty with this in this season and maybe work on it. Maybe make a chart for the wall or memorize some verses on them. Let your children at the end of the day go back to the chart that you made and the lessons that you've talked about, and kind of assess themselves and say, did we do it? Yeah, we did pretty good, but we need to work on it. And maybe, like, kids are really great at coming up with the things that they need to work on in their life, especially when you've taught it in a really nice environment and they're like, oh, cool, we can do this together, to feel like it's a team effort. Let them self-assess. Don't be the one that's always picking everything apart. Let them try to figure out where they need to work and improve. And then enforce the rules that you have made for work, enforce your procedures, and then do things over if needed. So if a child does a sloppy job, show them the lie that they've believed and why they did that, and then have them do it over and show that they can do it right. Instead of like yelling at everyone, that doesn't really solve the problem. We still have the problem, the mess, or the thing that was done sloppily. And so enforce the rule, show the lie that they believe, talk about the lesson that you've had together, and then go do it over. And if necessary, maybe the lie that they're believing is that they have no help, or they don't know how to do it. And of course, you might have to go help them as they do it over. And all of this is a little bit like a sheep or a flock of sheep, and the shepherd coming in with his rod. He could come into those sheep that are valuable and are going to give him wool and are going to give him meat, and they're his precious possessions that he spent a lot of money on, and he loves them because he talks to them and he knows each of their names. He's not going to come in there with his rod and start wailing. That is not going to accomplish his sheep doing what he needs them to do, and it's not going to give him a good profit. In fact, it's going to damage his sheep. Same way with parenting. I'm not entirely opposed to spanking, but having said that, that is not what spanking is about. Spanking is, for a little tiny child, to give them a little swat, a little, ooh, I better do that, is no different than taking a sheep and just giving them a whack on the rump to get them in the right direction. That's not abuse. But having said that, the rod that the shepherd does is to come in and nudge and guide and correct and encourage and entice and get some grass and get the sheep over to the green part of grass. And all of the love that he pours into his flock, that's what your home should look like. That's what discipline is, as you teach them how to have that good work ethic to become everything that the Creator made for them. You're not going to do it by flailing around an angry rod. What you need to do is give them nudges and pushes and loving advice and counsel and enticement. Those are the ways that you are going to get your sheep on the right path. So you probably need a place to practice all of these things. This is the easy part. This is probably what you came to this session for. You're going to develop a good work ethic by practicing all those truth statements in the garden, in the bedroom, making their bed, in the kitchen, the bathroom, doing the animal chores, car maintenance, yard work. Those are the places we practice, and we learn what we love to do and what we're good at and what we really are feeling called to do with our lives. But we learn it, in the simple things every day. When your children are supposed to make their bed, they're supposed to put away their dirty clothes, and they're supposed to dust and sweep their bedroom, and they're supposed to put all their toys away. Those are the times that you practice the things that we've talked about today. That's the time you practice not being impatient. That's the time you practice giving a little helping hand when it's necessary, or finding out what is concerning them, or working on them when they have a rude tone of voice, or when they are unwilling to be obedient, or they can't make a decision about where to put their toys. That's when you come along and show them how to do that. It's those little areas, those little moments, that all of the chance to practice the character quality comes in. So how do we learn character? We learn character by finding out who we are, who we've been created to be, and then having the fruit of the Spirit with each other, replacing all the lies with truth, and then practicing it kindly, giving them the nudges like a shepherd would. So that is the basics of a good work ethic. It didn't turn out like I imagined it would when I first sat down to make this video, and I'm betting it's not what you were expecting either. But I cannot stop thinking about how everything comes back to the garden. And when we are tending and guarding everything in our garden, we are so fulfilled. And like life takes on meaning, and it's just so peaceful. Now I know that's what I want for my house.
He made the heavens and all you see. God has a plan for you and me. God made you that you might be a mighty special possibility. He made the heavens and all you see. God has a plan for you and me. You are special in the love that He has for you. You are special in the way that He cares for you. You are special, 'cause God had a plan when He made you. God made you that you might be a mighty special possibility. He made the heavens and all you see. God has a plan for you and me. God made you that you might be a mighty special possibility. He made the heavens and all you see. God has a plan for you and me. You are special in the love that He has for you. You are special in the way that He cares for you. You are special, 'cause God had a plan when He made you. God made you that you might be a mighty special possibility. He made the heavens and all you see. God has a plan for you and me.
At homeschoolingtorah.com, one of our goals is for the mom to not be so burdened with the job of homeschooling on top of everything else that she has in her life, from cooking and laundry and cleaning and errands. All of it gets to be too much. But also she wants to have those daily conversations with her children, and she wants them to be together. She doesn't want them all to be separated. First of all, she doesn't want to have 50 different teacher manuals as she tries to juggle it all. She just wants to do school together with her kids. And our goal at homeschoolingtorah.com is to make that possible for you. You can teach your kids together in almost every single subject, from little to older. Just adapt the assignments. When you talk about the foundations of Rome, you should be able to do it with your young children and your older children. And you can see that they're all learning, and you can have those rich conversations together, all based on the Word. The Bible is your primary textbook. So, if doing school together sounds like a good, efficient plan to you, and really a great way to spend your mornings, I hope you'll check us out at homeschoolingtorah.com.